Was that your daughter I heard screaming?
Yes, she makes a lot of noise, but her heart's in the right place.
It's almost as if Blake Carrington was in this very room, isn't it? Pity about the rest of her. I'm sorry to hear that Crystal gave birth to 6 piglets in the night.
Yes, and I want to know the swine responsible.
Sorry, that is a terrible line. Russell wrote that line. All part of life's rich Tupperware. Those are nice trousers you're wearing.
Yes, Crystal made them for me.
Perhaps you should use a pattern in future. Have you got a jacket to match?
Yes.
Where is it?
Down there.
We're improvising now, so... Never improvise with a civil servant, that's my advice. Because you've got rubber gloves on. Now, where are we? Oh, yes. About your trousers. There's no need to take them off, Blake. They're not that bad.
Yes, but I insist. You're driving me wild with desire.
You see, you nearly missed out that word wild then. You're driving me with desire. It's a streetcar named Desire, but you can't drive someone with desire. Get a grip on yourself, Blake.
Do you remember the first words I ever spoke to you?
No, I don't.
My name's Blake Carrington, but you can call me Big Knob.
Yes. I was wondering which word you might miss out of that line. Fortunately, we had a full house for that one. You can call me Big, you could have had. And then you offered me a job as your secretary.
I needed someone to help me with my enormous mail.
Yes, I think you're overemphasizing the... That's a throwaway line, really. Indeed, you threw it away. It was nothing I couldn't handle. Now, this is your big speech here. I don't want you to get a bit worked up, a bit emotive, and project to the back of the auditorium.
I can't stand it anymore, Alexis. I can't stand your world of clutch bags and slingbacks. I can't go on. I'm a wreck, a ruin, and a shrine to despair. Leave me. Leave me. There's only one thing that will make me feel better now, and that's to sing that old Roger Whittaker classic. I'm going to leave old Durham town at the top of my voice.
Leaving me.
Old Durham town. Old Durham town. I'm going to leave old Durham town, and that's leaving's gonna get me down.
The lovely David. David, we have some flowers to give you. And a fudge finger. And this special statuette of my dog, Fanny the Wonder Dog, for you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. That's my dog, Fanny, that, well, as you know, I used to work with her, and then she retired. She had enough, so she retired. Well, it's sad for us, I know, but she's much happier. I think that what it was, meeting people like Ben Elton and Jonathan Ross, was all very well. But quite frankly, at the end of the day, she'd rather have her nose stuck up some dog's bum in the park. And you have to appreciate her point of view, I think. I know I do. I worry about her, though. She's staying in Swindon at the moment with my sister. And my sister has got this peculiar cat called Polly. Now, Polly was perfectly all right when she was a kitten, just used to bounce around the place like kittens do. And one day my sister came downstairs and she thought, well, where's the cat? And she opened the back door and Polly walked in like this. And my sister thought, well, that's not right. I better take her to the vet. So she took Polly to the vet, and the vet said, well, that's not right. She said, what's wrong with Polly? He said, I'm afraid Polly has had a stroke. She said, well, I know that, but what's wrong with her? He said, no, you don't understand. He said, I'm going to have to put Polly to sleep. And she said, no, don't do that. I'll take her home. Maybe she'll get better. And she's had this cat for about 6 months now. And there's no change, and it seems to be all right. It's still... And Fanny just stares at it in disbelief. Not that Fanny is the most psychologically sound of creatures herself. When Fanny came on heat, she used to approach dogs backwards. Straight down to the nitty-gritty. Then it's the wheelbarrow that's had a very unfortunate surprise. I was sitting on a plane recently. The reason I was sitting on an aeroplane is quite interesting. My manager rang me up and he said, you've been offered an interesting bit of work. Would you like to do this year a pantomime in Reading with Linda Lusardi? And when I heard the news, I was physically sick. Spontaneous projectile vomiting. I thought I was overreacting slightly. I thought you need a holiday, so there I was on this aeroplane and just looking forward to the baggage reclaim. Because I love a baggage reclaim. Very often the highlight of the holiday for me. I think that being a homosexual, I haven't bred any children at all, but I imagine that waiting for your children to come out of school at 3:30 is really much the same sensation as waiting for the baggage reclaim. Correct me if I'm wrong. I wouldn't know. My suitcase has always been a bit of a minx, though. Always the last one through the tunnel. Comes bounding through, buckles all undone. Waving some stupid scribble he's done of the drawing of the hold. Anyway, I was actually on my way to Thailand. I wanted to experience the Golden Mount. Turns out to be a Buddhist temple on a hill. I'd gone all that way under a terrible misapprehension. And then I got terrible sunburn. I mean, my skin all burnt and then peeled away. Came away from me in great big shafts and just sort of lay about me on the floor. I thought I was turning into a used condom for a couple of days. I was just sitting there looking forward to all this, and I felt something wet on my cheek. For one awful moment, I thought that the air steward had gobbed at me. That was my immediate reaction. A 15-hour flight, and we hadn't got on at all well, unfortunately. His seafood ravioli was a disgrace, and I told him. I said, I'm not eating that. He said, would you like to see the chef? Which I thought was a bit facetious, really. And then the in-flight movie, it was one I had seen several times, and I very politely pointed this out. So I assumed that the poor man had finally snapped and was taking his revenge the only way he knew how, by expectorating on the passengers. But then I realized it wasn't gob on my cheek at all. It was a tear.